Um, Great. All right. I think we're ready to start. Now, all right. So, welcome everyone to Congo Town Hall Part 2. This time we'll focus on global collaboration. We'll highlight the amazing work of not only the diaspora, but also local leaders on the ground, especially at this crisis and critical time. This event is designed to foster meaningful collaboration between the Congolese diaspora and local businesses and organizations, specifically supporting women and children in Eastern Congo. As we gather here today, our goal is to align efforts, share knowledge, and develop sustainable partnerships that drive impact. This town hall serves as a platform for diaspora-led solutions, local solutions, strategic collaboration, and innovative funding models that reduce reliance on unreliable systems while amplifying grassroots leadership. As we know, the humanitarian crisis in Eastern Congo continues to escalate, with Rwanda-backed M23 fighters now claiming control of Kavumu Airport, a key military and NGO hub in South Kivu. The fall of this airport brings the rebels just 30, well, they're in Bukavu, one of the region's largest cities, following the recent capture of Goma, which has claimed over 3,000 lives. Over 350,000 people have been displaced, according to UN Refugee Agency. UNICEF reports that there's been a five-fold increase in rape cases just in 1 week, from January 27th to February 2nd, with 30% of survivors being children. Humanitarian organizations on the ground are running out of critical post-rape treatment medications, putting survivors at even greater risks. These developments highlight the urgent need for coordinated action, sustainable development models, and innovative funding solutions that bypass bureaucratic inefficiencies and ensure direct impact. Now, we have seen just how effective and revolutionary just this global, not just global, but digital platforms have been, from fundraising campaigns here, right? Supporting Kamala and raising so much, so many fundraising efforts. And then there's also virtual classrooms like Hillman Talk. I don't know if anybody follows on TikTok, but there's been, because of the challenges of this administration, especially when it comes to minorities and removing civil rights and so forth, there's been a rising um, virtual knowledge exchange online from experts, Black experts, doing these virtual classrooms, teaching, sharing expertise. These examples this demonstrate how diaspora communities can mobilize resources, share expertise, and engage directly with local efforts in conflict affected areas like DRC. So today's discussion will focus on how we can leverage digital tools for knowledge sharing and direct engagement like we're doing now, develop alternative funding models but that bypass corruption and inefficiencies, strengthen diaspora-led and local-led initiatives through private sector partnerships and sustainable, self-sustaining investment models. So before we begin, we encourage participants, please use the Q&A features for questions. Keep discussions respectful and solutions-oriented. And as we mentioned before, this session is being recorded and will be shared for broader accessibility. With the recent USAID freeze, organizations like BAC are facing, I'm assuming it's going to be, funding is going to be a challenge. The underscore, again, of important diaspora solutions that rely on decentralized models rather than traditional aid is also going to be really important. We have seen organizations like International Child Advancement, I Heart Africa, BAC, Maleka Foundation, Africa New Day, and others that have proven that diaspora-led models are sustainable than Western aid. And also we know that we have contributed as the diaspora way more remittances than any international aid. So let's get started. First segment, we'll explore how we can mobilize resources and then strengthen advocacy efforts and create sustainable, again, models to support women and children in DRC. We are honored to have with us Nana, founder of Women's Immigrant and Refugee Club, supporting immigrant and refugee women in the US. Olivia, director of iHeart Africa and general manager globally, who's passionate about African development, led by Africans. We have Evelyn, founder of International Child Advancement, that empowers underprivileged children through education and mentorship. We have Jim Ngokwe, entrepreneur and co-founder of the Congolese Diaspora Impact Strategies, and he's also a coffee importer. And we have Hilaire Amini Muzibao, project manager at Wezesha Foundation and CEO and founder of BAC, working in microfinance, food security, and agribusiness in DRC. I'll invite now each panelist to introduce themselves, share about their work, and provide any updates from the ground in DRC, especially in light of recent devastating events as the M23 takes over and how it has impacted your approach. Olivia, would you like to start and tell us about yourself, your work, and any updates from on the ground?
Hi, everyone. Olivia. I'm Congolese, of course. Born in Kinshasa. I moved to, I was about to work via sports. And since then, I have just kept the ball rolling, stuff in the UK. I have been with iHeart Africa now and have been in a managerial position for just over a year now. And it's been a very interesting journey, very interesting journey. We have created a community of 100 people, and we built 24 houses and housed the children that we look after is about, which is 25. We look after 25 children, and we take care of all of their in medication, all of that stuff. In recent time, M23 thing happened. It has been it has definitely changed the way in which we it's definitely something that we didn't expect to happen. And all of our kids are healthy and safe. Had to evacuate the village, but they're all back now, and yeah, they're all doing well. The only issue, of course, is the fact that the city or the town, sorry, hasn't gotten back to normal business in terms of the economy. So getting cash over there has been an issue, but we've managed to find a way around it. So yeah, that's all I can say.
Thank you so much, Olivia. We will go to Evelyn. We'd love to hear from you.
Good morning, everyone. Evelyn Kessler with International Child Advancement. I founded the organization back in 2016, really stemming from not only my experiences, of course, my family being from the DRC, having gone to school and lived in Goma, and also attended school in Gisenyi, Rwanda, right across the border. I left a few months after the genocide started in Rwanda, and we started seeing the trickling of refugees coming in to the DRC and subsequently impacts later on. So after I left and hearing of the atrocities happening to our brothers and sisters, to our family, to my family members, and recognizing the children who don't have family, the children whose parents were brutally murdered and who are left to fend for themselves on the streets, have nowhere to go, and no future aspects. For me, there was a strong pull to find a way to help those essentially that were left behind. I'm a firm believer that to whom much is given, much is expected. Not to say that I'm rich or that any of us really are rich, but how do we help our brothers and sisters? How do we help the youth who were left behind so they can thrive, so they can get an education, right? So, as Jessica said, we empower underserved children and orphans in the DRC to become self-sufficient. through education, vocational training, mentoring, but we found over the years that we need to take a more holistic approach to ensure they have the necessary care, nutrition, health, etc. Most recently, this situation has been extremely trying, traumatizing. I'm sure all of you have felt helpless at times, but we put into practice what we learned when the volcano erupted some years ago. We really learned to be agile, to be nimble in how we respond. We were in the middle of fundraising for tuition so we could have additional kids go to school and attend university, and we had to quickly pivot, right, to then focusing on the crisis relief. So thankfully, our children are doing great by the grace of God. They did go 3 days with no food, which really messed me up in the head, but we raised enough so they can get food for a good month, which I'm grateful for. So we're taking it day by day.
Thank you so much for your incredible work, you and Olivia. Jim, could you introduce yourself as well and share a bit about your work?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And before getting started, I'd like to take a moment to just kind of, extend condolences and, well wishes, frankly, to our people in Ituri, North Kivu, and South Kivu. People that have died, people that are dying every day. So I do want to acknowledge that it's very tough to follow the news and see what's happening, like you've all expressed here. So I want to start with that. Yeah, I'm Jim Gokwe. I'm an entrepreneur, co-founder of Congolese Diaspora Impact Strategies. We're a platform and our platform and advisory firm, and our goal is to figure out ways to organize the diaspora to make an impact in DRC and in diaspora communities. And business really has been our main focus because we think, having money move around will have a major impact. And, we've done workshops and conferences in New York and DC since 2019. And last year we did our first return to Congo trip, where we brought a group of Congolese Americans to Kinshasa. A few of them, it was their first time. And we learned about, we met entrepreneurs in agribusiness, in tech, in the arts, and in real estate. So that's CDIS. But my main business is really coffee. Been importing coffee from North and South Kivu for about 6 years now. And the goal was to work in agriculture, because I believe agriculture, I think it's a key sector for Congo. Since I was a kid, I heard about Congo's potential. I was like, you know what? I'm tired of the word potential. What are we actually doing with it? So I just, agriculture was always something I wanted to dive into, and coffee came up first. And the coffee comes from North South Kivu, imported into the US and Canada, and looking for further markets. But it's a social impact coffee, and, make sure that, the coffee is fair trade, farmers are paid equitably and ethically, and that we don't contribute to like the system to oppress people, which is really how coffee was started in the first place. So that's a bit about me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim. Incredible. I mean, we have over 90%.
Oh, we lost Jessica.
Yeah.
Unusable. Usable. And so the work that you're doing is incredible. We look forward to learning how we can collaborate. Okay, thank you so much. And then we will go to Nana next.
Hello, my name is Nana Aluma, and so I was born in Likasi, but I am from Bukavu. My parents are originally from Bukavu and Goma, and I grew up in Kinshasa. My father was he retired in the army, so we were like kind of moving around a little bit. And after like 9 or 10, he decided to keep us in Kinshasa. Go up there, went to school, and I was doing okay, and then got married very young, which didn't go well. Got 2 kids, and then the situation just got worse. I don't want to go to that part. So I was working with the Brazilian embassy as an accountant. So I was doing good. And when I was working for the Brazilian embassy, I was helping with an organization that takes care of young women who were abused, because I was abused in my marriage very young. So women were abused and raped. So because of that, I got in trouble and I was obliged to leave. So I had being an accountant in an embassy in Kinshasa. That was a good job for like a Congolese. I was doing great. And when I came here, it was painful because I should have started back to zero. You know, my degree from Congo didn't really apply here. Plus, I didn't speak English. So it's just one challenge after another. It's until today is still a big challenge. And so that's why I created WIRC. You know, WIRC is a Women Immigrants and Refugee Club, where we share resources and experiences to empower each other and to help each other. You know, it can be anything. Like no one can understand us better than ourselves. Even my therapist, and I think I speak to my therapist, but when I speak with WIRC member, they understand me better because they have been to that same experience. If not them, it's their family or someone they know, someone closer to them. And it's still tough, but I really want to stay in there because the challenge is just too much. And plus now with everything that's happening to, you know, back home, my uncle is actually the director of the Goma airport. It was lucky the day they took over, it was at home. It's just, I don't even want to ask the news because I'm like, I don't know if I'm being very sensitive, and it's just so scary when they text me about what is going on. And some of my cousins, they went to Beni, or Beni is not even safe. I don't know why they left Goma to go to Beni. It's just tough. And who pay a lot, who pay more about everything that is happening are women and children. We always carry more and more. And with our culture also, we women, we're just there waiting for men to do stuff for us, waiting for them to decide. That's one thing I don't really like. Even myself, until now, I still feel like, oh, I have to wait when people decide, like men decide, oh, okay, it's fine. I don't want to give my voice, thinking that I'm a woman, they're not gonna, you know, believe, or they're not gonna even agree with what I'm saying. Starting in my own family and I walk everywhere. So yeah, I just want us, women to also change our mindset, start thinking like we can do it. We don't need men. We can just do what men can do too. So yeah, that's a little bit of who I am.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Nana. It's always inspiring to hear your story. And which is why we really wanted to make sure to include men this session who are doing the work to empower women and children in Congo. And last but not least, because you are a local leader, Hilaire, you've been doing incredible work that is so inspiring as well. And this is the example of what we want to see in our country. So we would love to hear about you. If you can introduce yourself, tell us about your work in agriculture and microfinance, as well as what you're seeing and hearing on the ground, especially, being in, living in Bukavu and working in Bukavu.
Yeah, thank you so much for Jessica for having me in this forum, and I really appreciate. My name is Hilaire Muzibao, but I was nicknamed when I was a child Hillary. So if you call me Hillary in the male kind of sense, I will also accept that. Anyway, my name is Hillary Muzibao, and I'm a project manager at Potential Foundation, a local initiative that extends its action on fighting against poverty and empowering women in the sector. And it's been a couple of years where we saw the need also of attending to young girls who have been affected by early marriage, like Nana's just spoken about it. I'm glad to hear a story. At the same time, feeling the situation that maybe she was in, That's how we developed that segment of how we could serve also young girls who have been affected by young marriage abuse. So we diverted into that as an organization, where our goal is really to empower these women by one of our projects that we call a microfinance project, because most of them they are looking for insertion and how to integrate back into the social life. So our work, we are focused it in impacting them social economically so that they can be able to integrate smoothly. So that's one we do with young girls. The second one is women who are considered to be they play a very key roles in the setup of a household, whereby, as you know, we are all Congolese. You know that a lot of men, they go into the mines, and some of them they do years before they come back home, if the women are lucky. But for most of them, they never come back. So you find that women they're left with the responsibility of taking care and raising the young ones. So the focus has been mainly to be able to support their income generating activities. So, excuse me, so that they are able to take care of their families and take care of the primary needs in their families. And with this, my father was the one that is the founder of Wezesha Foundation. Coming from a minister's family, my dad is a reverend, and I'm also an evangelist. I'm a Christian. So the heart has really been to how do we support our communities and really create impact above just bringing hope, which is one of the primary thing as well. But also, how do we teach our community how to fish so that they're able to take care of their families? So since 2011, we have been able to give over 20,000 microloans into the whole Kivu region. So we have been in Goma, we've been in Minova, we've been in Sake, we've been in Bukavu with about 5 areas in Bukavu. We've been in Uvira. So we are covering at least, the whole Kivu region. And with that, we've been able to serve over 10,000 women and farmers and girls in the Kivu region through microfinance. So with this was born a project that we call Food Security Project that had a goal of conducting capacity building to farmers. And this project has been we ran it for 6 years in the region, and it came to an end. So after coming to an end, there was no what can I call there was no transition plan. So what do we do from just a food security project? We've trained these farmers, but that's not what they need. They need more than that. We've trained them on agricultural technical services like agents. But now after that, they have increased their production. So there was missing a gap of the transition from a project to actually, quite a practical thing that will then enable them to create impact and also to create market for them. And this is how I came to found Best Agriculture Investment Company. So this was the need now in the community. So how do we create awareness, not just for farmers, but also for our youth, for our community, in being the first investor that will invest in farmers, so that we can empower, not just to empower the farmers, but also we can promote the agricultural production in the region. So that comes as my second job as the founder and CEO of BAIC, Best Agricultural Investment Company, that's engaged in capacity building, farmers capacity building, that engaged in building strong agricultural value chains, that consists on community-based agricultural associations. We create community-based agricultural association and cooperative groups with the aim of structuring and being to contribute in structuring the food systems, not just in the Kivu region, but also in the country as a large. We also do agricultural investment consultations, which consist of giving clarity to not only our youth, but also diaspora and also any investors that will wish to venture into the Congolese agricultural sector. And after that, we do the market, the farmers market linkage, which is a major problem, and has been a major problem in DRC, whereby we have a broken food system, and the value chains are not just working, whereby there will be a market linkage for all these products and produces from the farmers. So with this, we've been able to carry out some initiatives whereby we've put in place storage centers which fights against post-harvest losses. So these are still at the beginning of these initiatives of creating storage centers where we have two for now. We have one in Katana, which is affected since 2 days ago. We have one in Kabare, which is also affected since 2 days ago. But the main objectives of these storage centers is to act as, as the distribution points for every agricultural farmer. So the idea is to create an Amazon of agricultural products just in the region, so that our products as Congolese can become competitive on the regional market. As you know, right now we are a country whereby we are part of two economical what can I say regions: East African community and also South African community. So in the East African part, as you know, I've heard from another panelist saying that they studied in Gisenyi. As you all know, the East African part is mostly exposed and as an advancement and development in most of these areas. So for them, Congo was an opportunity, but now how do we create that gap to create an opportunity also for Congolese in tapping into the regional market? Because that has been the issue. And the issue is just we have been doing things in an ignorance level whereby we are not competitive on the international market and on the regional market. So this is how we started creating these storage centers that will then take us into quality verification, certification, and prepare us for the market that has been opened by the initiatives made by the government. So and with this, we're encouraging now the adding of value in agricultural products, which entails processing of products and moving on and investing into the whole value chain so that we can become more competitive on the regional level. So right now we are serving. We finished the year that we trained about 2,600 farmers in the whole Kivu region, and our goal is to be able to serve as many farmers as we will in capacity building. So these trainings are mainly focused in Kabare territory, in Walungu, and in Mwenga, for those who really know the Kivu region. And thank you, and I'm glad to be able to share my experience in this forum.
My goodness, I don't even know where to start. I mean, this is why we have these, webinars, just the incredible work that you're doing on the ground to really transform the agriculture sector, which is so needed, is just inspiring. Thank you so much for being with us. And I'm already seeing who can collaborate with who. Jim, hello. ICA. Seriously, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as we're discussing, obviously, collaboration with government, and then navigating efficiency, capacity building, the need, we're importing as a country so much. I think it's 80 million worth of foodstuffs, as they call it. I could be wrong, but I know it's too much. And so there's a food sovereignty issue as well that we need to address. So and not capitalizing on our exports as much as we should, especially agriculture. So there's just so much development opportunities, so much collaboration opportunities. And so we'll dive right in as we're discussing collaboration. And a lot of folks, in our community are understandably concerned about corruption, right? You know, we have a lot of organizations, we have incredible investment opportunities, but you know, they're okay, my money's going here. What I don't know where it's going. You know, we know our country has a corruption issue. So I would love to hear, as we are trying to be more coordinated and improve collaboration between local leaders, local communities, local investment in the diaspora. This question is really for Hilaire, Livia, and Evelyn. How and Jim especially, operating in DRC often involves navigating these bureaucratic inefficiencies and political instability, and obviously this crisis. What are some of the biggest challenges that your organizations has faced in this environment? Um, you know, outside of obviously this crisis.
I can go real quick. So for us, outside of the instability, the violence that's happening, because that just gobbles up a whole slew of challenges. To your point, the bureaucratic inconsistencies and inefficiencies are often a struggle and a challenge for us. What I can say, the way we are structured is that we support organizations that are already stood up. So, for example, the orphanage support in Goma, they're their own standalone entity, and we provide them with resources, training, and support so that we can send K through 12 students to school, university kids to school, do vocational training, etc. Um, so I think an understanding, number one, of how things function in Eastern Congo, in Goma specifically, is critical in the cultures. When you've been away for a period of time, some of us have been away for quite some time from the DRC, right? Sometimes there can be that disconnect. So that education piece on our end, those of us on this side, to better understand how to best navigate those local inefficiencies and bureaucracies. But frankly, for us, the team on the ground, the organization on the ground, they've learned and from their own expertise how to properly engage with the locals, with the local officials. And they keep us informed of what that relationship looks like, some of the challenges that they incur, and we have that dialogue and conversation to develop some transparencies and accountability, not only when they engage local officials, and understanding how to engage them safely, but also how to safely navigate spaces where they might be required to pay a kickback or to go around the regular processes to accomplish what needs to be accomplished. It's a tough balance. But for those who are on the ground, they're most knowledgeable, and we lean on them quite a bit for that. But when it comes to working directly with our team on the ground, that transparency and accountability between the relationship that we have has been extremely critical as far as setting the expectation of what the relationship would look like and providing those continued resources. That is extremely important. But those inefficiencies can definitely and have caused significant delays at time and have eaten into resources that we've provided or have been able to provide, which can really set us back quite a bit and not allow us to scale from time to time. So that's how we navigate it, really leaning into those who are on the ground, who have more of the hands-on experience and have to navigate that on a day-to-day basis. But it's a dual learning opportunity.
Yes, thank you. Maybe I can just complete and add on that. Given that we are both we have some point been connected. So political and economic instability is something we have been hearing from Congo. Just to avoid the word being used to, because it's not something to get used to. So this has been one of the biggest challenge for us. Political instabilities that create all these waves of insecurities. They are really the greatest hinder to develop. So when there's no free movement, when you're always moving and being afraid of if you'll attend your community, or if you'll attend the people that need your services, this has been one of the challenges in working in this environment, whereby we're working in the most insecure regions in the country, and which also are the most productive regions in the country, one of the most productive regions in the country. When it comes to mines, when it comes also to agriculture, with one of the biggest potentials, but yet we still struggle from this challenge as an organization. The other thing that I will add to that is uh, uh, maybe poor infrastructure. So the Kivu has really, really bad poor infrastructure when it comes to roads. So despite having huge potentials, in the region, whereby we are part of, the country where we have over 80 million of arable land, which which are there to be used, but yet we are only being able to use less than 10% due to poor infrastructures and in the region. So in the region, we only have the urban setups, which have at least accessible roads. But once you're off from urban regions, you get really poor roads, whereby maybe in the American context, imagine just 100 kilometers away from where you live. In Congo, it's easy for you to do 1 day and 2 days to get there. This is really something that hinders development. We have been faced with this challenge numerous times, where we are serving farmers who are in these regions, but every time they harvest, it's always a challenge for us to be able to navigate, but also to be able uh, to to take their produces from their communities, and have them into the marketplaces. Uh, the other one maybe I can share is and let the others share about the experiences. It's weak institutional support. So agriculture being the biggest employer of the country, whereby it employs more than 60 people of the population of practicing agriculture. So yet it is unfunded. The sector is neglected to uh, to the highest level of it. So when you come into the country, you almost think that the agricultural sector doesn't exist, because it's one of the ministries that has corruption. It's one of the ministries that suffers bad organization. It's one of the ministries that suffers bad coordination. So whereby in a country like Congo, it's almost impossible to be able to tell about the existence of extension service agents, whereby it's a very critical thing for a country to have extension agents. So how, in that context, how do farmers get trained? How do farmers gain capacity building? How do farmers, just improve in their production, when there is no one being able to train them and no one allocated to them? In most of the Eastern countries, it's said, even in the books of Congo, that every 1,500 farmers should have at least one extension service agent, whereby just our agricultural sector department has not been able to organize that. If it wasn't for just NGOs in the country, if it wasn't for all this organization coming to help, we would have a dead sector. But it's only grace to these fundings that are becoming in, that at least we have been able to make just a drop, just a drop development in the sector. So weak institutions, they have really derailed us from reaching that optimum development that we've been looking for. And you'll see that with this weak institution, smallholders have limited access to quality inputs. They have limited access to finance, which is one of the critical things for us to move from substantial agriculture to industrial agriculture. So I think it's an opportunity for me also to learn from others' experience of what challenges they are also facing, given that we also share a common thing which is the region for most of us. But these are the challenges that we face with every day as we serve the communities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilaire. And I know we're getting closer to time, so I would love to ask Olivia and Jim as well, just how do you navigate, and then we'll jump into just collaboration. How can we, really explore collaboration strategies practically and make sure that we're following up with each other after this.
Well, I'll go then, and I think frankly, unfortunately, it's the cost of doing business in Congo, and there are real consequences to that. Just to give you a quick anecdote, so one of the coffee cooperatives I work with in South Kivu in Garehe, it was founded by someone, a farmer whose father was a farmer, but that his father passed away, drowned, basically trying to smuggle coffee to Rwanda. So he came from a coffee family, and that's a common. A lot of people die trying to, whether it's trying to smuggle to Rwanda or Uganda. And I think again, smuggling data is hard to know for sure, but it's at least 60-70% of coffee from Congo is smuggled illegally to Rwanda and Uganda. And part of that is because of the corrupt systems and high taxation. Basically, you'll make more money taking a trip late at night to Rwanda or Uganda and selling it there than basically selling it as Congolese coffee because of all the taxation. So there are real consequences to that. Unfortunately, real lives and, real businesses are suffocated because of that. But unfortunately, it's the cost of doing business. It also hurts our competitiveness because our coffee is by default more expensive because we have all these extra costs in there. So it's tough to deal with, unfortunately, but we have no choice. And hopefully, we'll live to see a time where, there's infrastructure is upgraded so it doesn't cost as much to move goods around, and also where the laws that are clear and there's taxation that allows us to compete globally. But unfortunately, it's the reality, and there's not much we can do as, private citizens that aren't, government officials. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jim. Those are very, very real challenges. And that's why, again, working with each other is so critical. Olivia, please feel free to share as well.
Majority of our difficulties lie where there's this misunderstanding about who we are as an organization and what we do. So we have a team on the ground that takes care of everything, but Congolese culture, we love a gossip, we love, and the whole area knows that they don't run this. So then when it's oh, Muzungu, Muzungu, and you get taxed just because you get a hard time, and it's taken us to build relationships, especially in the area, because of the fact that they don't fit there. And one of the things that I've learned as first time seeing normal violence and how the army personnel cause. But once I actually started speaking Lingala to them, hold on. And that is how relationships were built. But it wasn't easy, because being a woman, again, we're talking to these officials and he's shook every man's hand but mine. So I've had to stick my hand out as well and be like, hello, like, where's mine? And I'm the only person that can actually effectively communicate with you. So that, and working with, local chiefs and understanding that system. And I mean, I understood it. I didn't understand it as much as I thought I did. But yeah, it was very difficult. But now that we've got those relationships in place, it's definitely smooth sailing until they're replaced. And then we have to do the whole thing again.
Thank you so much for sharing, Olivia. It's yes. And I can't stress enough how real this is, and this is why these conversations are so critical to have. Because I know a lot of us, that we see, on social media, on YouTube, hey, look, this so and so is doing a business over, in our country, and let me just go in without doing my due diligence and proper research. And again, this is why, you know, a network of incredible folks that have had this experience doing this is so critical to tap into. So I will go to, I know we have limited time, and so we'll keep the answers if we can for 2 minutes. We'll do 2 more questions, and then we'll have the our audience ask some questions as well. For all the panelists, and we can start with you, Nana, how can diaspora professionals and Congolese experts work together to bridge the gap in knowledge, skills, and access to global resources and support organizations like you as well?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So I believe like a town hall like this, putting myself out there, putting work out there, it's big, because that's what we need. We need connections, we need resources, because we're not gonna have all the answers. They just sent me a member this week. She's being in a domestic violence issue here, and she's here for more than 5 years, and she found herself homeless. So I'm helping her. If someone knows resources, that's something I'm looking for now. How to find at least a small apartment for her, and the baby was like 2.5. So being here is and having contact and resources, putting myself there is very helpful for the, you know, for work and us, you know, because it's not only people like we helping, it's not mentee. Me too, I need help all the time. I have mentee, I have mentor in work who always help me, advise me, you know. So I will send an email. I will put an email out there, and any resource will be helpful for work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nana. Anybody else who wants to answer, please?
Yeah, that's about collaboration, right?
Yes. So how can diaspora professionals and local Congolese experts work together to bridge gaps in knowledge, skills, and access to global resources?
Yes. Well, for me, maybe it will be we need to create awareness of first existent local organizations that are making impact. You know, just from a small experience that you know, I've had in visiting the US and being able to attend diaspora forums in at least Indiana and Chicago. You know, I realized that there is a lack of awareness of the impact that's being made. So I really salute this initiative done by Jessica. In a way, just like we can create basis of collaboration, just knowing each other. You know, that's one thing I found from the American diaspora, especially African, whereby there's just that distortion, there's just that separation of people not coming together and not having basis of collaborations. So good communication, it's a good thing, but also uh, I can say transparency. You know, yeah, that has been a thing that most of diaspora have suffered from. One has been maybe disrooted by a family member, by a friend, and you find yourself sending resources to somewhere that it doesn't reach, and you hope that it doesn't create impact. So the fact that we have missed out from that transparency and just being clear on objectives, like for most of the panelists, they want to really do something in the country, they want to achieve a goal, but then the issue has been, whom do I work with? But the thing is that we have not also been able to foster those collaboration with local organizations that have been initiated by locally, you know, people who have had a time to study and have had a time to. Most of us, we think that, you know, these services or working with them is more expensive than working with a family member. But at the end of the day, working with a family member that you can't control is more expensive than working with people that actually you can attain an objective together. So maybe that's my point. You know, a sense of collaboration, which by it opens a mind even in the diaspora community, knowing that you can work with someone who is not exactly your family member. You can work with someone who is not your young brother, your father, or anything. God can bring other people into place to help you attain your objectives. So the other one is creating our own story. So we should be able to tell our story. For me, I'm interested in how Congolese is telling their story. Are you saying that Kivu is done? There's no hope? But maybe for me, my narrative will be like, this is just something that it's just a temporary thing. It doesn't limit from investors from investing in Africa. It doesn't limit diaspora from investing into Kivu. Kivu is not just a conflict region. Kivu has also opportunities. Kivu has tourism. So it's just a matter of the way you tell the story of where you want people to be interested from. So sometimes, I found people in diaspora who are afraid, even ashamed to say they're from Congo. Because why? The narrative out there is that they rape at least one woman every other minute. So you're ashamed to say that you're a woman from Congo because of that narrative that has been there. It's a true narrative, but should we be focusing on that? Does America focus on the bad thing that happens in America, or they focus on the positive things? Does the UK focus on the negative things only that happens in the UK, or do they focus also on the positive things that brings people together and brings people back home? So for me, that's the basis of collaboration, whereby we are first proud to be from the country, we are proud to be from the communities, and we want to see them impacted. And that's how you find passionate people who also share the same vision with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilaire. I mean, great points, great points. So with that, I think it's a perfect segue to go to our audience. Whoever has any questions or any comments for our incredible panelists. I wish we had all the time in the world. There's so much. I had to cut some questions or trying to get deep. This is why we need some kind of summit or something to really, really start, getting, some specific questions of, how can we collaborate, really have some actionable steps. But for the time being, if there's any questions, please, audience, feel
Jessica, can I add to this very, very quickly? It'll be
of
literally
course, yes. Yeah.
to what Hillary said. I agree when it comes to retelling. I don't know organizations or what. We need a network that agrees on advocacy, messaging, and the sharing. And like, people don't really know what a version for people across the world to understand is very complex. When people tend to engage with it more, active campaigns, and it actually can just be like a website with all it or organizations, break it down into different sectors, branching out what they do or to how you can want to collaborate, and it's us also find people that we can and broken down into sectors. That's all I want to say.
Oh my goodness, no, that's perfect. I mean, I'm going to share the strategy plan with you. I'm hoping that this is going to be a global movement among the Congolese diaspora, especially. It's, you're in the UK, I'm in DC, ICA is in upstate New York, and Nana's upstate New York. So, Evelyn, and Jim, you're in Pennsylvania, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yes. So that is definitely the plan. And all of the ideas are welcome. I think that is brilliant. We have to make this as actionable, as practical as possible. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you all for sharing. Is there any questions from the audience as we're nearing the end?
Yes. Can you hear me correctly, properly?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. My name is Kwame. I'm actually Jimmy's brother-in-law. Um, my wife is Congolese. My daughter is half Congolese. I'm from Ghana originally. As you know, Kwame Nkrumah had a very tight relationship with Lumumba back in the days. And so I just feel like I have an interest in all things Congolese. And so please invite me to all the cookouts, by the way. I'm sorry I'm not on video, but I just had a question for all the panelists. Like if you had a wish list right now and one thing could be granted to your organization, can we just go down the line? I'd just love to hear what that one thing you would need, whether it's investment or media, whatever it is. Like, what is that one thing you feel like you would need to help further your cause and the cause of Congo?
You want to go ahead, Evelyn?
Yes,
I'll go after you.
maybe.
I'm chuckling because I have to cheat. I have
James
to
can go.
give two. I gotta cheat a little bit real quick. First, number one, funding is huge. We have a hard time, especially organizations that are led by Black women. We just keep getting kicked down that pile. So as agile as we try to be, and as much as we try to diversify our funding, it is a struggle out here. And we're an all volunteer nonprofit. I work full time in addition to doing this. So that funding support would be huge, or at least idea sharing. So engaging with all of you is a great way to understand, okay, what are some other ways that we can do this? But my other wish list, guys, is for us to be united. We are very divided, the Congolese community. That is huge because when all of you were sharing your ideas, recommendation around collaboration, the foundation for us to succeed in that space is trust. That trust is critical because I look at our community here where I am. Unless you're in this tribe, oh, you're not invited. Unless you're well connected to the other tribe, you can't attend my church or you're not going to be welcome. We're all Congolese. So we need to have trust, love for one another, because I really see that division creating cracks in so many other places whereby we can't be as effective and as efficient. So I'll stop there. Those are my two wish lists. I know I cheated. Thanks.
And I'd like to add to Evelyn's point. I think this crisis, this war, I think has brought us together in a way I haven't seen before. So I think the key will be for us kind of use that, because a lot of you guys have never met before. Eli, you're doing great work, but I wish I'd heard about this organization before. So I think this war is bringing us all together. Now the question is, what are we going to do with all this enthusiasm, these resources, these ideas? Once the war ends. I mean, the war is going to end at some point, right? At some point, again, at least I hope so. I pray that happens, but it's going to end. What happens after that enthusiasm? Do we all go our separate ways and, do our own thing in our silos or not? And to answer Kwame's question specifically, I think it's access to capital. I know that was one of the questions we didn't get to, but I think it's critical for our freedom and sovereignty. Because I mean, right now, whether it's our country's organization, we basically need the Europeans and Americans to fund us. Like the fact that, USAID or UK has to fund our health systems, the fact that a lot of the coffee cooperatives I've worked with, like the infrastructure was built by USAID or, this French nonprofit. So I think it's critical that we have access to capital. So Kwame, if you have $1 billion, please let me know. Because I think if I had that kind of money, it will be basically funding businesses and nonprofits. Because I mean, frankly, part of it is a bit embarrassing, frankly, that basically we always have our hand out because the banks don't help us and can't help us for whatever reasons. But I think unless we have access to capital, we'll always be dependent and we'll never fully be free. And I mean, I'm not a freedom fighter. I'm not trying to pretend to be Malcolm X or anything, but without capital, like none of this matters. Because if every time there's a crisis, we need GoFundMe's. Again, they're important, they're great, but it's not sustainable. And it's not sustainable to raise 1,000 here, 80 grand there. We need a lot of money and we need to be the ones to control how it gets deployed. Because if somebody gives you money, they get to tell you how to deploy it. And you're not really free if I tell you you're gonna invest in that, but not in this. So Kwame, please give me $1 billion. We'll do a lot of great things.
Jimmy, I
Maybe.
hear you. I hear you. I wish I did, but let's just see what we can all do collectively to try and advance the cause.
So thank you. This is also a very good question and a wish list. One thing will be difficult, but but I run an entrepreneurial agricultural investment company, and also being a project manager in one of the non-profit organizations. So I'll speak this from a context of in the US, where I will say, maybe for the sake of this panel, I'm quite. I think funds mobilization has been part of my job for years. So whenever I go for a fund, I make sure I get it. So my experience in the US, I find like they have said it. They have created blocks from the African diaspora, and it's very hard to penetrate. So I was in Indiana, and this guy had created an association of diaspora fund investment group. He's from Nigeria. So this guy, after he invited me to a panel to share, but then after, I thought that I was invited into this circle, I was invited into this block as a Congolese, because one of the major things, major problems we have, like Jenna's shared, is capital. And you see, from Africa, being in the context of poverty, of difficulties for these systems and how to raise capital, those that are making it in the African region, those that have been able to create blocks in the diaspora that actually are investing back home. So when I went there in the US, I didn't find one for Congolese. So there's only this block for Nigerians, and it's so much hard to crack on that. I follow this guy, and it's almost impossible. It's like his funding was only for Nigerians, but when he's talking to Americans, he's talking about Africa. But the reality is, it's not just for everyone. Everyone is not welcome. So I texted him after that. I called him after that, only to be pushed off. And I'll say, okay, maybe this is not for me. But where now I found, I'm getting reception is from, in quotes, white people, whom they don't have, they are not connected to anything, and they are eager to learn about Africa. So I'll get, I can maybe insist on that. It's capital, but we need to create those mainstreams that favor us. As Congolese, how do we get to these funds? Because I can't get to them as an individual. I can get to them as, as an association, as people who work together and make the thing stronger. And that will make us be credible in front of Kwame. If I came in as Hillary without Jim as a brother-in-law, maybe you'll not be able to trust me.
Nah, I don't know. I would. I probably would. You're pretty clean cut, so, man. I would believe you.
That's just a maybe, because Bike is running an investment company that just last year alone we're able to gather about 200 tons of groundnuts, and there's a huge potential in sunflower and soybean. So who does believe that investing in Congo into an oil plant is what actually $1 billion company, because we are importing about 300,000 gallons of oil every month from China, and we are also importing from Ukraine, and now all those are gone. Ukraine is no more. So we have a nation to feed, we have a region to feed. But how do we mainstream that to people actually who sees the potential of investing back home? I talk to Congolese individually, but most of them are living in dreamland. They're saying, I'll invest there in the next 10 years. I'll invest there in the next 15 years. But who knows where you'll be in the next 15 years? Some of them are mostly afraid because they've lost a lot of capital investing back home to their relatives. But the thing is that if we are able to just create this trust between us, we can be able to create amazing stuff in DRC. But then my other dream, my other wish, my second wish list is go in a grocery store in the UK and buy something made in Congo.
I know that's right. Thank you so much, Hilaire.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Hilaire.
Thank you. So, speaking of, great, again, I can't speak highly enough of how incredible everyone's ideas and points are. Trust, as Evelyn mentioned, is everything. And speaking to these sustainable development funds, right? I keep stressing this, in the US alone, there's 62,542 Congolese immigrants. Okay. if we can even tap into a quarter, you know, to engage and start having these conversations, collaborating, can you imagine? And speaking of just something that we need, you know, to address the capital issue. I don't know if you've heard of Kwanda. Kwanda is it's a I don't know if it's the guy you're talking about. I think he's UK as well. He has this diaspora fund. Bringing it's the goal is to bring diasporas together to fund sustainable development across Africa, even as little as $5. So if we can even have an app like that for Congo, I mean, game over, right? And so it's these innovative ideas that are already happening that we really need to start discussing and, you know, really implementing. And so I thank you so much. And if anyone else has another question, please, or comment, suggestion. I know we're about 11 minutes over, so.
Sorry, not to monopolize the situation, but I'd love to hear more about this app, and see how we can help to create something like that.
Yeah, I mean, are there tech people? Kwame, are you a tech person? I mean,
sorry. Excuse me. I should have explained my background. Yes, so I come from a tech background, software development. I have a tech consultant company based in Ghana. At some point, I co-founded a company called Coders for Africa, and what we were doing is training Africans to be able to basically outsource to the US. So, I mean, I still have a tight connection with the software development community, especially in Ghana, which where I am now with my wife, Nicole. And yeah, we definitely have the bandwidth and the resources to do something like that, right? Obviously, you know, based on conversations and what have you, we'd have to figure those things out. But yes, we do have that capacity.
Kwame, I need to speak to you.
Listen,
I need to speak to you, Kwame.
Okay, I'm about to send a meeting invite, all right?
Yeah. Let's talk. I'll put my email in the chat. I'd love to connect with everyone. Jimmy knows, like, Jimmy and I have had mad conversation about all this stuff. So, you know, yeah, let's do this, guys.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Jimmy, thank you for bringing your brother-in-law. Look at Jimmy is a gift that keeps on giving. This is the first time we're actually meeting virtually. But as you know, when I saw your background, and I was just so blown away, all of you. And so I thank you so much. And again, this is why we need to be talking. This is why we need to be united, as Evelyn mentioned. Thank you so much, Kwame. I'm going to be copying that email right now and sending you an invite. And I thank you all. If anybody
else has
a question, we can conclude.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, who's speaking? Sorry, can't hear you.
Thank you. My name is Raha.
Oh, hi, Raha. Oh, okay. I see the same last name as Hillary.
Yeah,
that's my dad right there.
Oh, welcome.
Just a comment.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much for this initiative. I really appreciate. I'm seeing like God is raising men and women that will really stand on the gap. As you said, one of you said that we, as a Congolese people, we are so divided. I've seen it even here where I am right now in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. We Congolese, nous sommes une nation à péril. We are kind of going down the hill. So thank you. The capital is there. It's available for everyone who has a vision and someone who is devoting himself to make a difference, to change. Thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you all so much. I mean, we're so honored that you're able to join us. You know, please, yes, next event, you know, invite your families, continue inviting your families, continue inviting friends. We really, you know, we have to make this a global initiative so that we can finally put an end to the suffering and start seeing the value, as Hilaire mentioned, you know, in our own country. Everybody else does, right? Everybody else is looting and taking advantage and seeing the incredible, you know, amazing natural resources that we have. So
All right, so
Appreciating that as well. We have to start seeing the potential.
Okay,
We have
there
to
you go.
times, but I know we're over time, 15 minutes over, but I thank you all so much. Did you, oh, was there any other
Yeah,
comments?
Jess, there's a question in the chat. I'll read it real quick. I don't know if you can hear it, and I see there's a raised hand.
Oh, Neil.
This question is from Gloire for Hilaire, and it says, what approaches have you found most effective in engaging the Congolese diaspora to support local initiatives? So Hillary, you're still there? Did we lose?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
I'm here. So
Did
what
you-
approaches that we find relative, right? For me, as I had already mentioned that. So it's creating dialogue platforms for us Congolese, and Jessica is already doing it. So for me, just a platform that Congolese are able to express themselves. This will be one way to really connect diaspora-based organization to the Congolese in order to make an impact. And also we need to develop collaboration frameworks. So every one of us have their goals, they have their objectives, they have their dream. So if we develop collaboration frameworks, this will allow that everyone finds their space in this big initiative, and they're able to to attain their objectives and goals while they're investing back home. We need also to encourage collaboration and initiate pilot projects. This is the only way to be able to build trust. So once you have, you have identified your area that you like to invest in, you like to work in, you like to create impact in, you have identified that local organization that you like to work in partnership with, then we need to encourage and initiate pilot projects. These are the only way for us to scale up projects in DRC and build trust between one another, because trust is an investment. So if you don't make that investment towards building the trust, then there will be no that kind of collaboration we are looking for. So for me, that's it starts first from the diaspora. Like we have all mentioned that we need all to be connected. We need all to build that trust. So how do we build it? It's by creating these platforms whereby we are able to discuss about these challenges and how we can collaborate as as people from one country, as people from one continent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the response. Okay.
Thank you, Hilaire. I think Neil is next. The question.
Yes. Hello, guys. Sorry, my question is coming late, but this is great. Congrats, Jessica, for putting this together. And I really want to encourage the panelists. You're doing incredible work in the DRC, and I can only imagine the challenges, the risk, and everything. And I know the environment there can be discouraging, but I'm proud of you, and I really want you to really continue the work that you're doing, and it's super important for our people. My question, I'll keep it short, and maybe one of you can take it. So, the reality is that, the challenges and the inefficiencies that, you guys alluded to in your presentation, most of them come from poor political decisions, right? Like, I mean, politics has a lot to do with, the current situation. And I know in our civil society, nonprofit sector, we don't want to get too involved in that, but and I know that our government, the Congolese government, is not always very accessible, or maybe they just don't listen as much. But I was just wondering, have you guys attempted to convey these challenges, these inefficiencies to them? Because I know that there was especially the past couple of years, there's been a big push to have the diaspora go back and invest, but you know, there's not been meaningful effort to create an environment that will allow such investment. So my question is that have you guys attempted to approach them, convey these challenges, inefficiencies? I mean, if they don't listen, but at least they are aware. Okay, that's my question. Thank you again, and congrats.
Like, I would just like, there's not, it's very confusing who to go to and where are they. There's not a clear structure of, I'm just Goma because that's I don't know, but a clear structure can see that that's like the charity sector in school influence or in the government that we can go to express, you know, we're trying to work the issues that we're facing. I actually know who to go and start. That's number one. Even if that person, the person does exist somewhere, but once I do find this person, I do speak to them, are there any actions that are going to happen to happen? Like there's things that like put people like us off from going to these people because we know that it's not going to be straightforward. It's going to be this, it's going to be that, and it really is going to be more a hassle than it's worthwhile.
Great point, Olivia. I mean, I think that's why these what the work that you're doing, right? These locally led development models have to be the path forward, right? I mean, we can't even this whole investment, you know, we have to just keep it at the local level because unfortunately, until the government proves themselves, they just cannot be trusted, right? So, and that's why, you know, as Evelyn mentioned, just and Olivia, you know, supporting organizations that have already been doing the work that have managed to find a way to navigate these inefficiencies and bureaucracies and red tape is so critical. And you know, my website has a list of, and I'll keep adding. Please, if you want to send it to me, send it to me. Send me organizations that you know that are doing incredible work. And the reason why I had an inspiration to even start this was I was working for a micro grant nonprofit that gave grants to organizations on the ground in Africa, and they've already, you know, they went through an extensive vetting process, right? Because these organizations have received funding, foundation funding, funding, and so forth. So you know that they're well organized, that they are trustworthy. There's transparency there because other, especially Western organizations and foundation, are giving them money, right? So having vetted organizations that people can have trust in is really critical, and because they have been able to navigate these systems and are still able to have very great transparent and systems. So yeah, unfortunately, we just have to. We can't wait on the government. We can't.
Jessica, can I add one thing?
Yes.
Shortly? So I was going to add that there is also a mindset of people, you know, because when we talk about organization, the government, it's more people, right, who are acting. Like we have that corruption mindset. Almost everybody want to get a little bit of something. So it's not easy, even your own family. Everybody want to get something from you. They're like, oh, the investor are coming, we're going to get something. So that mindset we have in Congo, that's also a big issue on that thing, or like investment now working. So we need really to, I don't know, it's a big work. I just wanted to add that, like people mindset.
Sorry. I just also, can I just ask a question? I know it seems like it's hard to get like a trickle-down effect from the government of Congo, but what about the African Union? Like there's a rep for Congo there. Like, why can't we petition digitally whoever this person is, say, hey, here we have a collective of organizations who have are trying to further the interest of Congo. What can you do to help us? Is that something that anyone has thought about? Is that something that people here are willing to do? And my second thing is, I think if possible, can we have a next step for this meeting? Like, I would hate for us to just end it here. Maybe the next step is let's continue this conversation. Maybe the next step is let's create a collective website that has everyone's cause and let's try and move it up somehow. Maybe it's let's petition the OAU. You know what I mean? But I feel like I know we're at time. I know African timing is very important. But can we leave here with the next step?
Definitely. I mean, that's what we're about. We are, Evelyn had this incredible idea of doing a town hall, and I've always wanted to bring us together. So we met, and we discussed, and now it's in we're in part 2. So we're all about action, and Neil is our. We have another network, Action for Congo Network, and he's the advocacy expert. So I think the pressure, honestly, from the diaspora has been doing something, right? Because as soon as platforms like Olivia's I Heart Africa, there's Friends of Congo, large platforms have been diaspora led, have been pushing and showing, sharing awareness of what's going on Congo. And we did the hand, even the hand symbols, and all of a sudden nothing has been really addressed by the government. Now you see them going to the east, right? Even before this conflict escalated, doing the sign, right? So clearly they are paying attention to diaspora responses and diaspora, public embarrassment obviously works at times, but they are paying attention, right? So this is why it's so critical for all of us to really mobilize. And yes, Kwame, I will be reaching out. Don't you worry. Hilaire, I think you have a last point. I know we're already 30 minutes past time, and I'm so sorry for keeping, but I know the conversation is so rich. Hilaire, last comment or question. Thank you. You're on mute. You're still on mute.
Sorry, I was speaking to myself. So the question was to know how advocacy has really evolved in Congo. For me, my comment to this is that we've been raised from a culture that we are afraid of seeking for information. This has really affected me for years, whereby we think that in Congo there's no information to have, but also we think that there are no systems in place. And this takes us to conclude the fact that there is no progress that has been made in most of these areas. So I'd like to inform that when I'm in a for-profit sector, there has been a lot of progress. I can't say that Congo has not made progress. When it comes to advocacy, when it comes to people like you and me, people have made really progress in pushing it up. Like right now, we have Guichet in Congo. This is something that didn't exist 10 years ago. We have the OHADA laws that have been kept in place and that are favoring even entrepreneurs nowadays. We have ANAPI that has been kept in place for investment in Congo. We have FODEC that have been kept in place for investment in Congo. So the only thing is that these forums are created, but they lack advocacy push. I'm glad to hear that Neil is in this space, because that's one of the most important space. How do we make these texts work for our favor? The texts are there, but no Congolese is willing to read them. Because that's our culture. Our culture is that we look things from afar, and we are afraid of going into them, because maybe you come from a region like mine, whereby if you look into things a little bit closer, a police is there to take you in prison for no reason, and you don't ask me, why are you taking me to prison? Yeah, do I have any rights? So that's our culture, but we need to break them, since we have broke already that mentality and culture. Being just in the US, we have now, and being in the UK and all the parts of the world, we have now a culture whereby we are not afraid of asking questions. We are not afraid of seeking for information. So if us as Congolese diaspora that has a lot of voice right now in DRC, because the government right now is all about diaspora. It's all about Congolese diaspora. And these are people that are able to ask questions. So we can create movements that actually questions our government right from where you are, through any platform that you think. But already there are texts, there are laws that are kept in place that favors a lot of people in every different other sector. I don't know if you're, in a non-profit organization, you should be aware that F92 is banned right now. You should have a judiciary, documents for you to be a non-profit organization. When it comes to for-profit organizations, there are those exemptions that are being made for young entrepreneurs, and they're already at work. The only thing is that we need to question them. Are there any evaluation? Are there any monitoring to this? And this is an opportunity for the diaspora to really have a look into it, to be the microscope looking into these texts if they are well implemented in Congo. And there are also those texts in the ANAPI that favors the diaspora. So we should be able to seek for those information. I know Jessica has been doing this, and she's doing this. She'll be facilitating all of us to be able to know what are those opportunities that are there for anyone in the diaspora willing to invest in Congo. Because if you come in without information, then you'll be the one losing when it comes for you to implement any other project that you need to implement in the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilaire. And thank you all so much. It's 11:02. I know we have errands and, well, here at least, I don't know what time it's over, where you are, Olivia and Hilaire, but I mean, thank you all. We're so grateful for you taking time this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are on this Saturday. It's supposed to be, a relaxing day. So, but this is so critical. We need to come together, and I look forward to the next meeting. And Kwame, we will follow up. And Hilaire, I'll follow up with you on just collecting those diaspora and underground advocacy, that information that you would share as well. All right, everyone, have a great day, and see you all next time, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, guys.
everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.